Hello, welcome to the Saroy channel. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm so glad you have. We've got an interesting encounter from a woman who claims that she got Bigfoot drunk and purely by accident. So let's get started. I think you're going to find this story quite interesting. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel because there are many others on their way. So let's get started. Dear Sarah, it is with great trepidation I am writing you this letter, because my Bigfoot encounter happened as a result of my alcohol addiction. Yes, I've said it. I'm an alcoholic, but fortunately I've been sober for 8 years now. My alcoholic addiction was so bad, and I tried to hide it from my husband and family with very little success. My husband was finding my secret stash of alcohol in various places around the home, and he would literally pour everything I drank down the sink, much to my horror. Believe me, when you're an alcoholic and you see your drink going down the drain, there is nothing that is more devastating. Drinking for me was escapism. It helped numb my pain and not think about my life anymore. I had been abused as a child by my father, and somehow drinking helped me to forget about those tortuous times, and I know that's no excuse. I mean, I was married to an amazing and loving husband, and I had 2 amazing children, but I just could not keep myself together. It was like the past kept coming back to haunt me, and every day, try as I might, I could not get those tormenting memories of my father's sexual abuse out of my head. Sometimes I would feel rage and anger towards my dad, and other times I would just break down emotionally, and I would weep and weep and weep. I guess I should have seen a counselor, but I never really believed that sort of stuff would ever work for me. There were times I was so drunk I forgot to pick up my children from school, and times when my kids would find me passed out on the living room sofa. I was so guilty in every way. I failed to shop for them at times, so that the cupboards would sometimes be bare when my kids came home from school and were ravenously hungry, and they would be forced to get takeout. I was a rotten mother and a dreadful wife, both to my kids and my husband, and they both deserved better. One day, after my husband had thrown all my alcohol away, I was so furious, and I knew that I had to find a much better hiding place for my alcoholic stash. "You really must stop drinking," he would say. "This stuff is going to kill you, and it'll destroy our family. The kids need their mum, and I need my wife." I knew he was right, but all that I could ever think about was another drink, and nothing else in this world mattered to me. That is how powerful the stronghold of drink had become in my life. I would lie that I wouldn't drink again, but thinking about a new hiding place for my alcohol was all that I had on my mind. Then I had a brilliant idea. I would go to the creek in the forest behind our home and put my stash in the water under the rocky ledge there that I had so often kept cool drinks cool in the past when we had gone to the creek for picnics. My vodka would keep nice and cold there, and it seemed like an amazing idea. So that's what I did. I brought a whole stash of alcohol and parked it in the shallow part of the water under the rocky ledge in the forest. So every day I would go there, and I would spend a long time there, getting drunk, passing out, and then returning home, assuring everyone that I hadn't had a drink. "Just search if you like," I would go on. "How can I drink if there's no drink in the house to drink?" One day my children had gone to school and my husband was safely at work, and I made my way to the forest. I was simply dying for a drink, and I couldn't get there fast enough. As I approached the creek, I saw 2 creatures on the grassy ledge, and they were monstrous. In fact, enormous isn't even the word to describe them. They were huge, and they were also staggering and falling all over the place in a way a person does when they are seriously drunk. For a moment I thought I was looking at 2 grizzly bears because they had the same colour hair and they were both big in girth and width. But no, they weren't bears, they were something else. But what? It suddenly dawned on me. I was looking at 2 Bigfoots, and they could not be anything else. One of the creatures got on the ground and started rolling around in the mud, and the other joined him, and they seemed to be chattering in excitement. It seemed like they were enjoying themselves, and then I knew why. There, scattered all over the place, were dozens of empty bottles of vodka. I could see the Bigfoots were completely drunk, and they were amusing to watch because it was like they were spaced out, almost in another planet. They continue making these happy chatting sounds together, and then after about 10 minutes or so, they became sleepy. And then they passed out and were snoring loudly on the grassy ledge. I will never forget those monstrous snores. They were like nothing I've ever heard before. I knew I needed to get out of the forest fast while they were asleep, because I would not have wanted to be around them sober. I was in no doubt that these normally elusive creatures could potentially be very dangerous. When I got home, I could not wait to tell my kids and husband what I had seen, but they all thought it was one of my drunk hallucinations and never believed me. But I know what I saw, and it was Bigfoot times 2. I finally did get counseling for my addiction, I'm glad to admit. But even sober, I've never imagined to convince my family that I saw 2 Bigfoot that day, and they were both incredibly drunk. Very interesting story. Thank you so much. Until next time, good night and goodbye.